guys, so I know I'm coming at you from a really weird angle. Look at that crazy hair. I'm just been on a crazy been on a crazy project over the past few days, trying to sort my room out because I moved home, and I'm gonna be living at home this coming year. And as a result of that, I've not only got stuff from all of my childhood, but I also have stuff from my accommodation, and I'm trying to sort through a lot, so it's painfully boring. And I'm just working on it day by day, and right now we're detangling necklaces, but to keep myself entertained, I decided to just talk to myself, which comes quite naturally to me. But then I started to talk about something that, well, I felt like, I should share this. So I was actually thinking about my relationship, my previous romantic relationship, and I was just kind of laughing because a year ago I was still in that relationship, and I was just like, bitch. And it's funny because in the beginning, when I'd reflect, a month ago or 2 months ago or 6 months ago, I'd be like, oh, I was in a relationship, throw back to her. And now I laugh, I'm like, bitch, what are you doing? And I say this with the most love and respect for my ex. We're good friends, and this is no shade to him. I have no regrets about our relationship. I learned a lot, and I really feel like we were meant to come together and be together. Absolutely. And I have no complaints about how he was as a boyfriend. I'm so grateful that he was my first boyfriend because he really set the bar high. And obviously my dad naturally hated him because he's another man. But he was so good to me that even my dad couldn't help but like him. And that's where the bar is at, and I'm very grateful for all of that. He was a wonderful boyfriend. But that doesn't change the fact that I was incredibly miserable because we were just not right together. And at the time I was so afraid. I was afraid of truly ending things with him because I didn't know I didn't want to lose him. And again, that's why I look back and laugh. I'm like, honey, you're a better friend to him than you were a girlfriend. You're good, I didn't want to lose him, and I also didn't know what my life would mean without him, because he'd meant so much to me, and he'd become so much to me in such a short amount of time. And I think also with COVID involved, like, I think all of us, not all of us, but a lot of us perhaps did things or got involved in things that we wouldn't have normally. And I was scared. I was really scared because here I was, and I'd basically attached my future to somebody else's, and I'm trying to create a shared vision, which was scaring me already in itself, but despite the fear of it and what it was going to be, it still brought me a sense of security, something I didn't have on my own. I didn't have a vision of my own. I didn't have a direction. I was still very lost in terms of what I wanted to do with my life and who I wanted to be. And so that was my security, despite it making me feel incredibly insecure. I was scared of a lot, and so I could never really take that leap. I got to a point, I'm not saying the entire relationship was miserable, absolutely not. I was incredibly happy at times, I was incredibly in love at times, and that was great. The highs were great. But the highs were always sort of, there was always like a shadow. There was always like a thing that would bother me. And this thing that bothered me started to sort of become a third party in our relationship. I couldn't deny the fact that I was incredibly unhappy and that unhappiness started to chip away at the good in our relationship. Yet despite that, neither of us had the courage to do anything about it, and so we stayed. But slowly but surely, it just started to erode what we had, and it became fragile, and I acted in ways that made it even worse. And lo and behold, as I couldn't make a decision, the universe decided to step in and put me in a situation where I had no choice but to look myself in the mirror, look myself in the face, and be like, this is not the type of person I want to be. And this is not the type of person I would want to be in a relationship, the type of person I would even want to be in a relationship with. I had to ruin things so badly that I had to face it. I had no choice. And I'm not trying to make myself out to be like a martyr or like an extremely good person, because I can tell you, and my ex could tell you, that I wasn't at times, you know. I will say this, though, that I tried my best. But because of how much I loved him, I couldn't let him be treated like that anymore, even if it was by me. And so I ended it. And it hurt, and it was terrifying, and it was heartbreaking, and it was everything a breakup would really be. And almost, in a way, I want to say it was harder than a stereotypical breakup, because he wasn't a bad guy. You know, when someone's not a bad person and they've loved you right, what do? But I never regretted it. Not once. Even to this day, I don't. And what would happen in the relationship, I would have these breakdowns every 2 or 3 weeks where I would get so much anxiety about our relationship. I managed to detangle all of the necklaces, by the way. I would get so much anxiety about our relationship and about the future of it, and I would spiral. And I would spend about 3 or 4 days just crying. And in the beginning, you know, I talk about it with my parents. My dad would say to me, he'd be like, well, if you're so unhappy, just end it. You know, typical guy advice. My mom would say, Mahika, you're overthinking. You know, you don't know about the future, nothing is certain. And if anything, COVID has shown us that, right? But these spirals wouldn't stop. And so for the first 2 or 3 months, you know, my parents did their best to give me the advice. But after some time, it was too much for them, and they snapped, and they were like, look, you gotta be concentrating on your future and your life and your academics and all of that. Like, why are you crying so much over a guy? And so I just felt like, you know, I couldn't really get the answers that I needed, or I felt that I needed. And I turned to my ex, and he'd tell me that I was overthinking too, and I believed him. And I felt like I was going crazy. It was horrible. I remember talking about it with a welfare lady. I think it was a welfare lady at uni. I promised myself, because I'd taken a couple years out of uni, I promised myself, like, once I go back to uni, the first thing I will do is get a counselor, because I'm destroying everything good here, you know, and I'm crazy, and I don't want to be crazy anymore. And I remember telling either her or a welfare officer that it felt like I was in a glass box screaming, and people could see me, but they couldn't actually hear me. And it was horrible, You know, here you have this person who's so kind and so good to you, and yet it's not enough. Now, obviously, I know that, like, a person can be good and kind, but it doesn't mean that they're the right person for you. Just thank your lucky stars that they're a good and kind person, at least, you know? But it doesn't mean you have to be with them. Anyway, I didn't know that at the time. Or I did, I just couldn't really admit it. I really thought I was going insane, and I felt so guilty for it. I wanted to be a good girlfriend, and I wanted to be everything that he deserved because he was so good to me, and he healed me in so many ways. He's an amazing guy. You know, the type that he won't judge you for what you feel. Really, like, emotionally present, kind, respectful, open-minded, genuine. He can be kind of simple, but, like, he is who he says he is, you know? He's a man of his word. And I really respect that about him. There was so much in him that I was like, this is what I would want in my partner, so what's my problem? But it didn't change things that I felt I actually really, really needed in a person. Anyway, when I ended up talking to a counselor and a welfare person, both of them ended up asking me a similar question. They said, you know, what about what you want? What does Mahika want? And I was like, flabbergasted. What do you mean what I want? What? Never thought about it. Not really. I kept thinking, here is this man who is so good to me. He deserves to have somebody who loves him entirely, like the way he has loved me, you know? And I wanted to be that for him. I really, really wanted to be that for him. And so despite my fuck-ups, I still kept trying. I got back in there and I kept trying. But I could never really do it because I could never really change who I was and what I needed. And I think the same goes for him. And that's okay. And that's what makes us better as friends as opposed to partners or whatever you want to call it. I think I need to get some tweezers for this one because it's driving me insane. Just thinking if there's anything else I want to share. Yeah, the breakup wasn't, you know, it wasn't easy. Like on a surface level. When I say surface level, I mean like experiencing it as Mahika, but on a soul level, on an intuitive timeline, if you know what I mean. It felt like this is exactly what I have to do. Like this is where I'm meant to be, and I don't want to go into detail about what happened and all of that. That's between like, yeah, but let's just say that I displayed very poor character, and I hated myself. I really did. Everything that I'd been trying to avoid, I didn't want to hurt him, and yet that's all I was doing, you know. And so I'm really proud of myself. Despite my fear, despite everything, I said to hell with it, because plan A ain't working out. And I broke up with him. And it's okay. You know, it's okay. Life is too short to spend it trying to force things. You can love somebody and still not be with them. You know, that's justified. What works for someone else might not work for you, and vice versa. And, you know, I always knew that my ex deserved to be loved the way that he loved me. And I stand by that. But I can't do that. I can love him better as a friend. I can show up for him better as a friend than I ever could as a girlfriend. And I think he knows that now too. So I guess this was kind of a reflection on the whole situation. I guess if I also need to quickly add something, you know how I mentioned the breakdowns? Those weren't normal for me. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd have times in my life that were difficult where I'd cry and all of that, but to be consistently breaking down every 2 or 3 weeks and going into these spirals, and they weren't linked to my period or PMS, by the way, and I wasn't on any hormonal birth control, I will also add. I didn't know what was going on, and no one could tell me. Not a soul. It took me figuring it out and me realizing that I was right all along, that it was my intuition. Your intuition speaks to you. When you don't listen, it starts to scream, and it will scream through your health, whether it be physical or mental. So if you're watching this and you're in a relationship or you're in a situation that you're second guessing, and it's not just once or twice, but consistently you keep coming back to this conundrum that despite how things may seem externally, how happy of a relationship you're in, how perfect this person is on paper, how perfect this job is, etc., etc. If you're screaming on the inside, you're not in the right situation. You're not. So you see, like, if you could be married to an imperfect person, a person who is not on paper right for you, but you will be at peace on the inside. It's like, how do I say, your external could be imperfect, your external could be difficult, other people could be like, but how do I need to think of an example. Like, other people could look at your life and be like, but you have this, and your rent is this high, like this much, and but that person, they're not qualified in this, why would you want to be like, there would be all the reasons why not to do something, or why something doesn't make sense to other people. But on the inside, when you go to bed, you feel peace. That's how you know you're in the right situation. And for me, all of this stuff would come up, but this, but that, but this, but that, but what if this, when I lose him, or but if and then him loving someone else, and then the jealousy, and then feelings of loneliness that would bring up, or whatever, like all of that. It's irrelevant. Like for you that could be, but what about my salary then, and then how am I going to make money, and then how am I going to provide, or how am I going to build this, or what would my parents say, or but this, but that, but this, but that, but this. Honey, it's going to eat away at you. It ate away at me for about a year. And like I said, it wasn't all bad. God, no. There were so many beautiful moments, and I am so grateful for that relationship. But it doesn't change the fact that I still suffered, because I wasn't listening to myself. Is my father coming? And so I want this to be a reminder for you, or a nudge, that if you have the option, be brave and choose peace. Look, there's going to be a loss either way. In breaking up with him, yeah, I lost some sense of security. When if you've been through a breakup, you're like, that whole security of that person being there. I'm going through this, and then they're there, or that the hugs. Oh my God, like the comfort hugs, like that. I lost that. It was hard, but I didn't lose myself, and I was going to. If I stayed in that relationship, I could tell you, I could tell you in writing, I would have lost myself. And I honestly think that would have been the biggest sin of all. And so I'm really proud of my younger self, despite the messiness of it, despite the stupid behavior at times. I'm still proud of my younger self for being brave. That doesn't mean to be without fear. Bravery cannot exist without fear, but I chose to have courage and do the right thing. Do the right thing by him and do the right thing by me. And I really respect that about myself. And so, yeah, I guess I just wanted to share that. I guess maybe for me, like where I'm at, if I ever want to look back. But also for anybody out there that's in a similar situation. Your gut will tell you, and don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. It'll come and bite you in the bum. I guess that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna go finish my jewelry sorting. Guys, wish me luck. And this bracelet, it says love. So maybe we can say as a final note to this video, go and share some love. Whether it be with yourself, go and take yourself out on a little solo date, or you just do some journaling, where you just thank yourself for how far you've made it, or for still being here today. Or it's that you go and give your parent a hug, even if they've driven you around the bend and you low-key hate them. Go give them a hug. Or it's that random stranger that you see every day at the coffee shop. Go and say hi, ask them how they're doing. I don't know, your pet. That provides you with so much comfort. Go and take them for a walk if you can. Or I don't know, feed them a treat or something. Go and share some love. And I'll see you guys in the next video.